Well, hi folks. Another edition of Norm's Outdoors. I'm making a report on a retention pond in Brandon, Florida, behind my daughter's house that I stocked 4 or 5 years ago with big bass. Anyway, the story is that they had a duckweed problem in here and took over the pond, and it completely covered the whole pond. And the homeowners association, I guess, wanted to get rid of it. And I was still catching bass right through the duckweed with topwater baits, real small ones. I just threw it out there, and I just twisted it a little bit. It was like dragonflies that were diving down into it. And I would catch a ton of little fish, 12-inch, 14-inch, on a 4-inch black worm. But the homeowners association decided to have it sprayed to get rid of the duckweed. But they didn't do it right. I mean, they did it right what they thought was right, but for fishing it wasn't right. They didn't pick on a windy day when the duckweed would blow down the other end, and it would be maybe a 30-foot swatch off the bank that they could have sprayed. Instead, they came here on a calm day when the whole lake was covered, and sprayed the whole lake. From that day on, fishing was no fishing. I don't know whether it killed them or not. I didn't see any floating on the top, but there was no fishing. The bluegills seemed to disappear, and the bass fishing went down to nothing. I used to bring the boys over here and throw them little worms out and catch a half a dozen fish in an hour. Used to have a blast here. It's a shame, really, they didn't spray it the right way for the fishermen, you know. But like I called up the homeowners association, and they were telling me that I had no right even putting any fish in here. Well, we had a problem with the bluegills overpopulating it a number of years ago, and what happened, there was a die-off here, and the die-off lasted 2 or 3 weeks. The smell was horrible because there was no predator fish in there. When as soon as I put the bass in there, the big bass, within 1 year the lake straightened out. It just had a normal amount of bluegill, and it was great. And they produced, and we caught a lot of fish. But like I say, when they sprayed for the duckweed, the whole lake, they did it twice in a row. That was the end of the fishing. The lake cosmetically looks beautiful, but fishing, forget it. And I think it is coming back. I'm starting to see little signs of little fish starting to swim around. But I'm not going to stock it anymore because I'm only going to spray it again when it gets duckweed in here. But anyway, I had a pond within 3 miles of here. I had permission to fish when they had a home over there that was in foreclosure. And while it was in foreclosure, they gave me permission to fish. And they took care of their weed problem, duckweed problem, with no problems. Guys would come there on a windy day and would blow it down the end. It'd be about 10 feet sticking out into the lake. And they'd spray that little bit. It never affected the fish. I caught tons and tons of fish over there with a small 4-inch black worm. I'd go over there for maybe 2 hours and I'd catch a dozen fish with no problem. And sometimes I'd catch some nice 3 and 4 pounders on that worm. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And if I took shiners over there, I really would have caught some fish. But I was having fun with the ultralight 4-inch black worm. And like I said, I fished there for 3 years, and every year they'd come there in the springtime on a windy day and take care of that duckweed that was bunched up on the end of the wind. And never caused a problem. The ducks stayed there and everything. The ducks even had their young there. Over here, my daughter's pond, everything was gone. The birds were gone. The grass all around the edge was all dead. It was a shame that they ruined the lake. You know, all they had to do was wait for a windy day, spray it properly, and it wouldn't have been no problem. Well, it's another report of Norm's Outdoors, keeping up on the fishing around. And like I say, I put some 5-pound bass in here, and I was catching them back. It was unbelievable. And they must have bred in here because in 2 years there was 12-inch bass in here loaded with them. So it's a shame that the lake went down like it did. It may come back, but I'm not putting no more fish in here. Because I know as soon as it gets duckweed gets taken over, they'll overspray. And they did that over in Pinellas County Walsingham Park, where I fished and caught tons of fish. They oversprayed over there and created a big problem over there. And the fish aren't biting over there right now. So this spraying is getting out of hand. What they do is they let the weeds grow too long. They don't keep up on it. They need to keep up on it once a year. And then they only have to do a little bit of spraying. But when they let it go for 3 or 4 years, they have to spray a ton of spray, and it's just knocking the fish down. Well, that's all for this report from Norm in his outdoors. That's all for now, guys. Happy fishing, and I hope this pond does come back. It's showing signs of small fish. Well, we'll see. That's all for now. Bye.